This I wanted to talk about this because look, it's hard because it's not an ideal world. So say if I was thinking of
No.
choosing the best committee to kind of lead forward the Muslim community, right?
Yeah,
In an ideal world, you would have people who have like fundamental knowledge of Islam basics and stuff like that, and
yeah,
they have somewhat of an activist mindset, because then you'll get the
yeah,
balance of kind of both things. Um,
yeah,
what we find is like it's normally one or the other, isn't it? And then that's what
yeah.
kind of
I
leads
think
to
that's true.
problems.
If you look at the history of our Isoc, so if you look at just a few years before us, president, yeah. So the year before me, there was another president, and he was sort of 100% like he was on Dean. He knew stuff. He had that sort of mindset, and he was great. It was really good. But you could see in terms of the ISOC as an organization didn't perform as well. The dean was there; it was very strong.
Mm.
I think the Tarbiyah classes were really good. The lectures were really good. The Jummas were really good. Everything was good in that aspect. But as an organization, in terms of getting members involved, having that outreach, I guess it wasn't that
Mm.
good because and part of it was because of his degree, and obviously that took up a lot of his time. Because as well, at the end of the day, we're students. We were students at that time. Islamic society isn't the be all and end all of your thing. It's just one aspect of your life while you're at university. It's not everything. Your studies come first. Deen, in terms of going to praying your salah and doing all that stuff, comes as well. That's there. The Islamic society is
Yeah,
just a lesser aspect of everything.
yeah,
And I think that's one thing you need to keep in mind at all times as well. You can't let it overtake you, and you don't have to have that sort of, oh, it's going to be your be all and end all. It's not. It's just one small aspect of life there.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the years before us, great in terms of Dean, but in terms of organizational, and the ISOC suffered, as you saw. Like our second year, we were there. We were struggling for members. We had about 10 members, and we had to sort of rush people to get
Yeah,
members so that we can stay a society.
yeah. Okay. Well, then to that extent, it matters.
Yeah,
Because I think you preemptively addressed what I was going to say. Because to the extent of being a functioning society, it matters. But then there's that question of whether or not what's more important. It's not
that's
just
true.
about the numbers and stuff. It's more about
No,
because if you're viewing it from like that perspective of like numbers and organization and stuff, but then what about if you're viewing it from a metric that's harder to pinpoint, like I don't
that's
know, the
it.
effect on the people's hearts or something, right? So even if you have a small group of 10 people,
Yeah,
they might have left that with more kind of insight or
yeah,
lifelong practices, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it
No,
depends
definitely.
what metrics you're using to assess it, isn't it? Which I
Yeah,
think,
and I think no, no, carry on. Sorry.
yeah, I think Muslim kind of organizations, they suffer from that in all domains because it's that balance, whether it's
That's it.
mosque committees, whether
Yeah,
it's kind of a project like say this one or any other podcast or whatever else,
yeah,
right? It's that balance between the
yeah.
metrics, what you're prioritizing and things like that.
Yeah,
All right.
and I think you're right in terms of, so if you go back a few years before the sort of the very strict, and not strict but sort of very active on Dean, you had the complete opposite where it was very numbers based, and it became more of a cultural Pakistani society, as it were, rather than the Islamic society, because it was more pandering to get as many people involved, and you lost all semblance of Dean then. So you had that, then you had the overcorrection, I guess. But
Yeah.
then as a result, I think what it came to us as well, and I think I did focus on numbers a fair bit because of external pressures with our prayer room and etc. But I think we did try to build a balance, which I think did succeed over the coming years. Because then, if you look at the 2-3 years afterwards, after our time, I think we left it in a good place.
Yeah. That's important as well. Like a form of a legacy.